Now to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's apparent turnaround after his 11th hour campaign declaration that there would not be a Palestinian state on his watch. He appeared to walk back that declaration in a new interview just yesterday with our very own Andrea Mitchell.
I haven't changed my policy. I don't want a one-state solution. I want a sustainable, peaceful two-state solution, but for that, circumstances have to change.
But you were reelected on a mandate. Certainly Israeli voters, your supporters, believe you were reelected on a mandate against a two-state solution. That is the way the White House is interpreting. They're strongly considering, not blocking, a vote for statehood for Palestinians.
Well, first of all, that state would become a terrorist state. So we need the conditions of recognition of a Jewish state, real security, in order to have a realistic two-state solution.
President Obama did call Prime Minister Netanyahu late yesterday. That would have been 2 days after his election victory to congratulate him. But the president also delivered a stern message. In a statement, the White House says the president reaffirmed the United States' long-standing commitment to a two-state solution. A senior White House official tells NBC News the president warned the U.S. is reassessing aspects of its relationship with Israel. The White House is also criticizing Prime Minister Netanyahu's Facebook posting on Election Day that said the right-wing government is in danger. Arab voters are coming out in droves to the polls, while left-wing organizations are busing them in.
I think that it is certainly a pretty cynical tactic, and there's no doubt that it's divisive. And it is a pretty transparent attempt to marginalize Arab Israeli citizens and their right to participate in the election.
Joining me here in our studio, MSNBC political analyst and Daily Beast columnist Jonathan Alter, and with us from Washington, Nihad Awad, co-founder and executive director of the Council on American Islamic Relations. Thank you both for joining. Jonathan, you were here the day, I believe, before or after the elections here. We talked a great bit about this bold statement from the Prime Minister, and now, by all accounts, he is turning around, or the appearance of it.
He's trying to walk it back.
How do you try to walk it back?
You just change your language in the interview with Andrea Mitchell, but it's too late. Or there is a reckoning that is coming in U.S.-Israeli relations, and when the government of the United States says it is reassessing parts of the relationship, this is a big deal. It's probably the biggest crisis in U.S.-Israeli relations since 1956 and the Suez Crisis. So what could happen now is events could spin out of Netanyahu's control at the United Nations. Remember, the way the United States exercises its veto at the Nations, which it's done for many years on behalf of Israel, has nothing to do with the U.S. Congress.
Right.
This can be done by a second-term president who has already shown with respect to Cuban relations that he will go his own way without worrying about old arrangements in the making of U.S. foreign policy.
But by all accounts, Benjamin Netanyahu is seen as a calculating figure, someone who always guesses the plan A and B. When he made this assertion, do you believe he banked on the reaction from the United States and having to, 2 days later, give the appearance, whatever you choose to call it, he is walking back what he said?
Well, I think he was just, really behind the 8 ball in terms of his reelection. The last polls showed it dead even, and in the past, Likud has done worse than the polls. So he needed to turn it around and turn it around fast, and he was pandering as fast as he could, figuring he would pick up the pieces later on. That's what he's doing.
Did you anticipate he would pick up the pieces this quickly?
Actually, no. I mean, your head might spin when you look at this Prime Minister's political performance. There's a terrific Israeli columnist who said that Netanyahu's word is as good as writing in ice on a very hot day. In other words, not worth a lot.
Nihad, let me bring you in. I do want to play another excerpt from the interview where Netanyahu talked about what was widely seen as anti-Arab rhetoric right before the election. Let me play that.
Well, can you imagine?
First of all, I'm very proud to be the Prime Minister of all of Israel's citizens, Arabs and Jews alike.
That's not the way it sounded on election day.
I wasn't trying to suppress a vote. I was trying to get something to counter a foreign-funded effort to get votes that are intended to topple my party. And I was calling on our voters to come out.
Is that explanation sufficient?
No way. Can you imagine if an American president is trying to be re-elected? cautioning against another minority that's going to the polls to decrease his possibility to win the re-election. This is racist, fear-mongering. So I think he's backpedaling in a way that maybe it's going to be ineffective, because worldwide and Arab Palestinian voters have felt the pinch of the racism that's practiced by the most influential person in the state of Israel. So I don't think it will have any positive effect. What he said, what he practiced, his attitude towards the occupied people, towards the Arab Palestinian citizens, in practice, racist policies that have been proven by his words, and the fear-mongering tactics just to scare other voters in order for him to win the re-election.
Well, you know, it's U.S. Special Envoy, former Senator George Mitchell, who worked on a peace deal, said earlier this week regarding Netanyahu's stance on not following through with the promise of a two-state solution, is that going into the negotiations, many Arab leaders did not trust him and believed he would always back on his word. And now we are here, and if you can keep up with the score, in a sense, on our way back to where we were, perhaps where he may try to pursue the original promise to the United States and this president. Do you believe he has credibility at all at this point?
I think he's losing a lot of credibility, and just remember that Secretary of State John Kerry tried to resurrect the peace process 2 years ago, and he said we have only 2 years window of opportunity to make this peace process happen. And of course Benjamin Netanyahu gave it a death blow. So he basically again, in practice, he put so many obstacles and caused the United States to fail in its effort to make peace between the Palestinians and the Israelis. Made an official statement that a Palestinian independent state will not happen on his watch. So in a way, he's really giving a black eye to the United States government itself, which is a historical ally to the state of Israel, and it's embarrassing the United States standing within the Arab world, especially in front of the Palestinian people. So it will make it very difficult now for the United States to emerge as a peace broker. And it has to put like extra pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu to reconsider these positions and to come to the table and make sure that the peace process is the only way option.